Good morning. Welcome to Pries Capital. You must be the new recruit.
Oh, is this the new recruit?
Yes, it is.
Awesome. Follow me, Mr. Superstar. Here at Pries Capital, we love showcasing art. The stunning bronze dragon sculpture Pico by the renowned artist Nano Lopez is definitely a showstopper. And these pieces on the walls, the legendary Michael Godard is practically a rock star in the art world. There's art all over the office, creating a vibrant, creative atmosphere to work in and collaborate in. And here is Tyler Pries, our hardworking mortgage loan officer. If you're looking to purchase real estate in the Myrtle Beach area, Tyler's the guy to know.
Looks like you have your hands full. Ashlyn, can you grab a book for him? And I'll see you at the meeting.
And here's Raj, one of Jason's right-hand guys for commodities trading. Good morning, Raj.
Good morning.
Meet the new recruit.
Hi. Hope you like to work hard and play hard. This is a high-stakes environment. Split-second decisions can make or break an opportunity. Welcome to the firm.
Don't worry about Raj. He's a quiet powerhouse, but he's critical to everything we do here. And here's the founder and real estate powerhouse herself, Tina Pries.
Good morning. How are you? So glad to have you with us. Can't wait to see you in action. We're just about ready to start the meeting for Jason's market analysis. I will see you both in the conference room.
Good morning, Jason. This is the new recruit.
Hey, welcome. We're glad to have you here. Your skill set is exactly what we need. I love people dedicated to their craft. But hey, I got to get ready for this morning's analysis, so I'll see you in a bit.
Thanks, Jason. You're awesome. Right here, we have one of our many conference rooms. And down the hallway over here, we have the intelligent and sharp-eyed Miss Jill.
Why, thank you, Ashlyn. Nice to meet you.
Jill thrives in the world of spreadsheets, balance sheets, and financial forecasts.
You'll fit right in, so go check out your new office.
And here's your new office. And over here, we have some welcome goodies for you. Just a small thank you of saying welcome to the family. Okay, so I've got to get ready for the meeting, but check out the gym over here, grab some coffee and bagels in this room to the right, and then I'll meet you in the conference room.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us. Go ahead, take a seat. Welcome back to another morning market analysis. Let's get comfortable and dive in.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, James. Good morning, Robert. See you guys in the chat. How's everybody doing this morning? Jobs number just came out, 8:30. What is the jobs number? This is might have to, whenever we got big data that comes out at the 8:30, you know, might have to start these streams 15 minutes earlier or 15 minutes later, probably earlier, more than later. Right, so jobs data came out. A lot of, right, and this is September's data. What is it? Let's look this up really quick. Oh, what do we got here? Really quick, I'm going to look that up. I want to see where we're at. Do we have... Is it going to show us? $119 came in. And unemployment rate at 4.4%. I'm just looking at my TOS global news, just trying to read it from there, but there was a lot of stuff that came in at 8:30. So, anyways, we got to pop up on the unemployment. So unemployment rate did tick up, and we got actual is 119, if this is correct. This is for September at 8:30. Let me refresh this. See if Y charts refreshes it. So, all right, we all know that the gap up is because of Nvidia. I don't think there's nothing here that you guys probably don't know. Right, so what do we got here? High impact jobs report was delayed 7 weeks, yada yada. Point to that. Jobs added. The October, we know that October will be out in November right after, or it will be out on December right after the Fed rate date. Anyways, so far we got a pop. So we got Nvidia that came out, that gapped up the markets, and then we got, right, the payrolls that came out, and that looks like that's, you know, holding. It has not reversed the market trend. So we're going to talk about that, and I'm going to talk about my day trade setups going into today. I don't think there's anything else of importance, right? So that got taken out already. So we have the reaction of the payrolls. The numbers we really don't give, you know, too much attention to, you know, because, right, what is it that really matters to us is how we react to it and make money from the payrolls numbers. But the payroll number itself is not important to me. I really care about how the market interprets the number, and so we see that on the chart. So with that being said, existing homes, ooh, I did want to see that. I'll look at that later. Oh, that comes out at 10, so I will be watching that at 10 o'clock and see if we get any kind of market reaction. You got Fed speakers today, 9:30, 11 o'clock. I don't know if those are going to, I doubt those are going to be anything market moving. Oh, Walmart, though, that comes out this morning. I didn't even look at the numbers if they've came out already. So, you know, everybody already understands that there's a decent beat on Nvidia, both in revenue and expectations. Oh, 10-year. On that pop on the jobs number, the 10-year is popping up. So we'll keep an eye on that. Dollar, find a little bit of retracement coming down. Gold, basically neutral. And oil, a little bit coming down off of that, 40 cents. Since that news of the non-farm payroll. So we'll keep an eye on that. I did take partial, you know, the contracts rolled. So one, just to let you guys know, I didn't do we didn't get live here on Tuesday and Wednesday because Toss, which if any of you guys have Thinkorswim, you guys know that Thinkorswim over the update on the weekend, right? You come up to your platform and you open it up on Monday, and lo and behold, if you got Windows 10, you were not able to access Thinkorswim. So that's what I've been doing for the last couple of days, and I'm still kinking out, getting kinks out. This morning the webcam wasn't even working. I had to play around with that. So I thought I had everything worked out yesterday, and apparently I came in this morning and the webcam wasn't working. So that was a little dicking around there. But with that said, back live, back on these, everything. I got the update to Windows 11, so now Toss is working. And but I did Tuesday roll, you know, on the rollover, I did take about 3/4 of the position off at around $60.70 some cents, and still have that 58.95. So watching how this plays out a little bit, but I took a little bit off on the rollover in the new contract, and you know, let the other ride. So now that we're just talking here about, you know, the dollar, oil prices, gold is still, you know, neutral in my eyes. Just I wish it would just give a little bit more of a retracement. We'll see, you know, at 3,800. I just don't like this $4,000. And I don't trade Bitcoin, so I don't have no discussion on Bitcoin. Other market market events here. What do we got here? Other notables. Trump semiconductor tariff. Plans are reported delayed. Yada, yada. This tariff, me personally, and giving you my opinion, is tariffs are there's nothing new. All the news is already priced in. There's nothing new. The China negotiation was really the last of the, unknowns. And so there's no unknowns anymore in this space. Everybody's pretty much negotiated. I don't think that there's not going to be too much more tariff-related events to be market moving. So there's nothing interesting in there. We got some M&A watch, and then obviously the Nvidia. I would say right now, obviously the charts are telling us we are risk on. So that's what we have to play for today, is gap rules are in force. If we look at the probabilities, this is, again, constantly watching this on a day-to-day basis, but we are now, can you remember about a month ago, this was like 98% probabilities over here on that we were going to get a cut, and that has shifted so much just in a month. Last week, or earlier in the week, we were at 50-50, and now we're, this is completely off the table. We're now at 27% for a rate hike, and then we are 72% of, holding rate steady. Minutes came out yesterday. I think if anybody read the minutes, but my take on those minutes was there was a little bit of, some people wanted to cut, some people didn't, but the majority was just sit on hands and wait for more data. And then lo and behold, we open up the government and the BLS says, hey, we're going to give you non-farm payrolls for October and November after the rate cut decision. So, we're not going to have new labor data until after the rate cut or the rate decision, the rate meeting. So, again, I think there's more and more Powell's probably going to come out and like, oh, well, we're not going to do anything because we don't have any data to play off of. And then the data will be released the day after. So, go figure. That's how that game gets played. But the betting markets, as far as futures, are showing hold at 72.2%. If we look at the probability, or what am I looking at? There we go. I was going to say, there's a delay in my computer. So again, hold on December, so there's no more cuts for the rest of the year. And then again, we're looking for one cut still in the first quarter of 2026. And then we get a cut possibly in June. This has shifted, if you guys remember, right? There was like a cut and then another cut, and then this was all going to be, no more cuts from after 2026 into 2027. And that's shifted. So now we're getting, 1, 2, and then 3 cuts into 2027. Obviously, that's going to change as time progresses, but this is something that I keep an eye on the daily. As I watch the probabilistic scales and I watch the Fed Fund futures. You can obviously look at you can type in any of these into your trading platform, and then you can see it for yourself. All these numbers that the CME produces really comes off of the Fed Fund futures that can be traded. So, you can obviously trade these futures. So they're just taking those numbers and then putting in the probabilistic scale on it, make it easy to read for market participants. So again, don't anybody who's figuring a cut going into December, I would roll that back and, any kind of discussions for Thanksgiving or family functions here coming up next week. Everybody's like, oh, cut. I would roll that back into, let them know, hey, the Fed Fund futures, it's a hold until first quarter of 2026. So with that said, let's get into the charts, right? That's where we're all here. That's why I do this. On a day chart, let's keep on thinking about what's happening, right? We made highs, lows, lower high, lower low, and we're retracing up into another, which would probably more than likely set up a next, right, lower low, lower, or lower high to lower low. So again, the sequence that we're looking for is, right, you have a high, you have a low, you have a lower high, you have a lower low. We're retracing up into another lower high, and then, right, we'd be expecting, and again, this is on a day chart, so as we sit through here, right, I have two positions that are always sitting in my head. Is there's a long-term, what's the long-term trend, and what is the short-term trend? And when I'm thinking long-term trend, I'm looking at daily charts, weekly charts, daily charts, and when I'm looking at short-term trends, I'm looking at hourly charts and 5-minute charts. So as I look at this, right, the way that I'm looking at this is, and let me go to the week, day and week, right, is what is the trend? And it's a very simplistic, right? Where are we in the sequence? And so last week we made a high. This is a weekly chart, right? You made a high and a low, and then what are we? We made a lower high and a lower low in the weekly trend count, right? So again, long-term trend is down, right? And then where are we on the daily chart, right? We are making, again, those sequence of lower highs, lower lows in what would be a retracement in the sequence, right, as we are gapping up into today. Now, as we look into an hourly chart, we'll look at that in an hourly chart, and that does have a, if it's going to be, let's look into the hourly chart right now. Let's go to that right now. So in this sequence in the hourly, right, where are we wrong? And we're wrong in this low volume node up here, which sits in and around 68.12. 68.12, I think back in the day, or back earlier last week, we were talking about the number of 68.09, 68.10, and now that the exact LVN is 68.11. So there's, this is a market that's constantly moving, right? So these LVNs, HVNs, these are always developing. They're not static. And so that low volume node now currently sits at 68.11. So again, where I don't want to sound like, oh, Jay, this isn't bullish. It's definitely bullish. We're gapping up, right? We're up 100 points from yesterday's close. So, right, it is risk on. Nvidia came out. Job numbers obviously came out. So we got this push, but there's a lot of repairing that the buyers need to prove to really shift on the overall longer term bias to bullish. So, right, this again, the sequence, I just want to make sure everybody understands how we're looking at this is, right, this now is a move up, right, and where the buyers will have to prove after today and after these job numbers is we really got, right, the confirmation is going to be above that 68.11, right? They got to repair and get above this high volume node right here, right? Otherwise, what it's going to tell us, and what this tells us right here, this high volume node, is this needs a little bit of back and fill, right? So if we're going to fill this volume node out over time, right, then where we're at right in this 67.40 is Fight Club, right? And so where price gets kind of sucked in, and you'll see that a little bit as we get into the weekly profile chart. But on this volume profile chart, you know, we can see dynamically where this is going to need backing and filling. So as much as this looks, oh my God, you know, it's the back to the buy the dips, you know, we're going to take out new all-time highs. It's possible. But in the game of this probabilities game, I'm not, they have to prove it, right? I always think like the market constantly has to prove it. Otherwise, you know, we get stuck in Fight Club. You know, these high volume nodes are high volume nodes because it's price and time that builds out. And so, right, that's just the trading ranges. And price gets, it's almost like a magnet where price gets sucked back into these high volume nodes, right? So when we're looking at this, again, where we are opening up in today, you know, we're just in and around that high volume node. And do we get sucked in and stay in this? And again, if we're not, and the buyers are, and over time we're gonna make an attempt to take out that all-time high, then what needs to happen, right? Price needs to get up and over 68.11 and then hold a pullback and then go. So that's not my base case going into today, but I'm just telling you, like, that's where we are wrong, or I am wrong. I will be wrong in the analysis if the buyers take that over. And again, going back to that weekly chart, going back to a daily chart, right? As we continually play this ongoing game, this game of day trading. Also just on a higher time frame, just to let you guys know, and if anybody hasn't seen this, let me go back to the dashboard. But, and let me back these back out. Just so everybody has any information, right? You guys, you want to know where the office is, the phone number, emails, it's all there. But we are pushing right up against that 20 period moving average on a day chart. So, right, price is pushing up. So again, does that activate selling? And that's what, as you're trading, those are the things hopefully you're recognizing. You know, slow your mind down, and the market has these points in which sellers or buyers should have some kind of reaction. And as I always talk about with you guys, if this happens, then this should happen. So, right, as we come into the 20 period moving average, as the market opens, we're going to open right up in this area, right, at 67.73, 74. And if the market is bearish, right, then we should expect buyers, whether it's old business or new business, right? If it's old business, right, then you should expect people who have inventory to start unloading, right? So old business gets done where I'm long since whenever, and right, I'm just getting rid. You know, if I had Nvidia shares and you know, I was looking to unload on a rip, right? Prices come up higher. It's like, hey, you know, sell at the highs, right? In this old business. So it doesn't necessarily have to be new business, but, you know, in this context, if this 20 period moving average on a day chart is important, then you should get both responsive buyers and sellers, where you'll get responsive buyers taking profits, right, selling their position and turning that into profits. And then you should get initiative sellers to initiate new business in and around this, if this is truly an area of resistance. So again, you got the 20 period moving moving average as resistance. You have, going back to the hourly chart, right? We have the high volume node of some stickiness, resistance. This feels like this should be back and fill. And again, right, that kind of brings us in and around where price kind of comes back down, and then this gets back and filled. I'm watching for that, right? Again, we're 109 points higher in the day, so that's a pretty decent gap up. Let's look at a couple other things. Oh, let's look at the main. Let's look at this. Let's look at the weekly chart. You have a low volume node right here, so this right, these weekly, this is a weekly distribution, so this was last week's distribution, and this is this week's developing distribution for anybody new who's watching. And again, this is so as we closed yesterday, right, we were closing down in here, and then in the overnight, right, we went through this LVN, right, we're back up into this Fight Club, which we were talking about last Friday, right? That whole 67.70 area was exactly the area in which we were talking about on Friday of last week. And we're back in that same area. So again, if buyers hold the gap, right? This ends up, this was yesterday's high was 67.09. So to fill that gap, we'd have to come back all the way to 67.09. We're at 67.50. So that would be a pretty large move. We'll see if that happens. When we get to the trigger chart, I'll tell you exactly how I'm trading it as far as pathing in my setups. But again, I'm watching for, does price, right? Do we hold up into this distribution and we play around up here? And so the move was made really in the overnight on the long side. And so, right, the trade that I'll be looking for is to short, fade this move. I'm looking to fade this move. And then as we come down in and chop, and then again, what I'll be watching for as time goes on is, does the market, the tempo, fill that 67.09 and retrace the gap and fill it. And then what I'll be watching for is, how does the market react in and around this area? Does it swipe back down in and we come back down into this lower distribution? Or, right, this was the breakout yesterday, Nvidia earnings, job numbers this morning, and then price comes down and they hold the pullback, and then, right, it's a move higher, right? And then we'll have to watch and play how that plays out. But with this massive gap up, right, I'm more going to be sitting on my hands a little bit. Anytime there's a big move and you get large gaps, it's, for me, I tend to better trade them after, like a little bit in the afternoon and less on the open. There's usually a lot of Fight Club, I call it, on the open, with large gaps, and the market, will tend to resolve a little bit. Now, I will be trading day trade 1, but again, on a light, 1 contract, 2 contracts, not my usual 4 contracts as I trade, and on a fade, on a gap fade. But again, I'll be watching that closely, because a lot of times what will happen on a large gap is, it'll either move, you guys have been with me enough times where, right, that move on the open can be the move. A lot of times on these up moves, on up gaps, on gap ups, and it's a large one, you'll get a little bit of Fight Club off the open. Gap ups are different than gap downs. So on gap downs, you gap down that open, and then it's like, boom, it shoots up. On gap ups and it's gapped up, what happens is you don't just, how do I want to say this, back testing this, and again, anybody can go back and back test the charts. On gap ups are different than gap downs. There is a difference. They're not all gaps are created equally. But on gap ups, you'll get this fight club action. And that's what we'll be watching for. It's not necessarily on gap ups do you get like the similar reaction like on a gap down. So I'll be sitting on hands a little bit, but I will take, because I will trade day trade type 1 where I fade that gap as a move down. I'll just be a little bit more nimble because as I know that this usually will trade a little bit, and then I'll manage that trade accordingly depending on tempo. And does developing value, you know what I mean, shift lower? And when I say value shift lower, where's my pen? Go back to this. If we go back to so when I say value shifting lower, I'm usually looking at this chart. And so like similar to this, it'll just be opposite. See where value, and then it shifts, it's then trading here, and then it shifts, and then it shifts, and then it shifts, and then it shifts. And this is where you see value shifting higher in real time, right, as it shifts. And so as this market plays out, we're gapping in a large gap. Is it a gap and go? We're already 106 points higher in real time. So what I'll be watching for as this comes down, do you get value where then all of a sudden value is here, and then it shifts down, and then it shifts down, and then it shifts down, and then all of a sudden we're overlapping value. So value starts shifting down, and I'll be watching that. Now, if value doesn't shift and you're not getting that shifting down over time as the day plays out, and value just gets stuck here, that's the tell. That again, that's that. What's the market telling you in real time as the game is progressing? Is telling you, that buyers are holding that up, and you're not getting that shift, right? That developing point of control is not shifting lower or higher. So, those are the things, that little nuances that I'm looking at. I don't think there's much to talk about on the market profile chart, but we'll look at it. I don't see anything here that screams anything new. We will be opening, right? There is this 67.58 as a VPOC that will get, as soon as we open in a half an hour, that'll get taken out. So, right, you can erase that from the charts. You'll see it on the trigger chart here as we move to the trigger chart where I have it on, but that will eventually be taken away. So let's look at the trigger chart. Right, and so again, this VPOC, as we open up, right, I'll have to delete that off my chart as that will get taken off. When we look at the trigger chart and the pathing ideas, again, 67.42 and a quarter or 75, right? We know what that level is. That is that low volume node, right? It's a major low volume node. We are trading above that, right? So to fill the gap, a couple numbers that you want to kind of keep in your head for trading today is 67.09. This LVN at 67.42.75, I believe, will play a major role in today's trading. So, right, watch as that plays out. We are dealing with day trade type 1. And then I'll be moving as time goes on. I'll be looking for, does day trade type 1 fail? Does it work out? And then as time, if day trade type 1 plays out, I will then move into day trade type 6. So how does that play out? Is on the open, right? This will be choppy. I'll have to watch that to enter into the position. you know, to get a good trade location into a position. I'll be watching how that plays out. And as long as the setup plays out and I can enter in on a trigger, right? And again, as this move plays out, I'm going to be looking for one, right? One try, two try, and then a failure, right? Enter in on a strong down candle as we're, right, failing at the highs. And then I'm going to fade that, come down into, watch how that plays into 67, 42, 75. And then as long as it continues to play out, I'll be looking for, okay, right, 67.09 fills the gap. Day trade setup number 1 is done. That's check mark. And then I'll be moving into day trade type 6 as we play into, and we get sucked back into, you know, yesterday's range, yesterday's value. And again, as I discussed, how will that play out in real time? We'll be watching the market internals as well as, you know, that developing value in today's value. You know, where's the shift? Where do we get the shift? So how does value shift as time gets distributed? If I'm noticing that it's shifting and then value shifting down and then value shifting down, right? And then we do not get like a move up and then value starts shifting up, value starts shifting up. If that does not happen, then again, day trade type 6, as I will look at this, you know, coming all the way back down to where we started. Excuse me. So as we started yesterday in the 60, you know, 6, that's going to be a bad one to say. So 6,660, 6660. As this is where the move started, right? We just come all the way back and then come all the way back to where the move started. And we retraced the whole thing from yesterday's move in the overnight. And so that's how I'll be watching that. And then again, so it's day trade 1 into day trade type 6. And then, right, that'll fairly play out. Now, where am I wrong? Going back to, you know, that's great, Jay. Great. But what happens? What's the telltale for where I'm wrong? And on that, let's go back to the volume profile. Where am I wrong is where price, right? Again, say I misread the market. Oh, we open up. I misread the faster time frames, and I'm now short, expecting the fade, day trade type 1. And then as I'm short, I'm wrong is if we get another move. The hourly candles are scrunched. So you guys probably can't see that. Let me screwing this up. There we go. Right? Kind of give a little bit better visual. But if this candle opens up and then we get a move up, right? And then move up. And again, we got to get up, back and above. These buyers have to get back and above this 68.11. Now, trust me, I'm not going to hold this short if I get triggered in here, and I'm going to just watch that blindly. Watch that. Again, if anybody knows or watches these live streams or have traded with me here at the office, you guys know that I just don't blindly buy or blindly sell, right? I'm looking for the 1 try, 2 try, right? So a market moves up, you get a 1 try and a 2 try and then down. If it's moving down, right, like here, same thing. Like this is an hourly chart. So again, think of these as, say these candlesticks were 5 minutes, right? You get a move up. It's a 1 try, 2 try. Sellers can't take this market lower. And then what do? You get a move higher, right? And so if these were 5-minute candles, that's the look that you're looking for. So again, similar thing where we're up here at these highs on a faster time frame, 2-minute chart, 5-minute chart. You're looking for this move where we've moved up, right? And then you're looking for 1 try, 2 try, and then buy or failure, and then we come back down. And I'll be looking for this is the reversal setup that I'll be looking for. I just don't blindly sell or blindly buy levels. So hopefully that's one thing that I can teach you guys, or you guys can just catch on as time goes on as I do these for everybody, that you guys understand how these set up. And then, right, your stop is above, right? Whenever you're thinking inflection low, inflection high, there's a high a day and a low a day, or there's an inflection point that you think you see, right? You don't know, but you think you see. Then you have to honor your stop, right? If you think that that marker marked a high of day or a low a day, right? Then just honor the position and just put your stop in place. And if you're wrong, let it get stopped out, right? If you otherwise, your analysis was incorrect from the get-go. So, but you know, as today progresses, I'll be watching that. You have this inflection high, right, where you have this nice strong green candle. On my charts, I got them gold. So you have this strong gold candle, right, above this overnight inflection high, right, where we pulled back, and now we busted out over the jobs data. And so what you'll want to see is that confirmation, right? And this should then get another strong gold candle on my chart, green candle probably on your chart, and then another move higher, and we get up and around this LVN, right? That is, if you were bullish or you want to take a long trade, that's what you're going to look for. As for me, I'm looking to fade this move, and so, right, but I do know what it looks like when I'm wrong. So this is, if I'm wrong, if you're bullish and you want to play long this market, that's what you're going to look for. If you're looking to fade this market, as I am, using day trade setup 1, moving into day trade setup 2, at least you know, or day trade setup 6, at least you know what to look for. So other than that, right, again, I can't say it enough. This just looks like, you know, a fade back in and a back and fill this range as we fill in this distribution. Now again, this will be filled in. This won't take like one day to be filled in. So, you know, this, I could see this filling in over time. And so what does that mean is you need time and price. So this will, you know, we'll chop around in here. We could easily chop around in here all day today and all day tomorrow, and we don't go nowhere. It's just like Fight Club. You might as well just, you know, took 2 days off of trading, unless you're scalping this market. But, you know, just watch out for the choppiness. Keep an eye on market internals and tempo. So other than that, I will leave you guys with that. Oh, we'll close out by going into the, right, as always, I'm a little bit just kind of off. I'm a little bit slow today. I stayed up late last night. So I'm a little off my high energy tempo. But as I always like to remind everybody, you guys are always welcome. Slide by the office if you're here on vacation, or if you live in and around Myrtle Beach. We're always open to seeing, and I'm always open to talking to new traders, or any traders. Could be, you know, you've been trading for 20 plus years or 30 years, 40 years. Come on in, shoot the shit. Office number, email, website. You guys can also go to, if you're trading, teamdaytrader.com. Pries Capital is the firm. If you're looking at private equity, real estate investing, any of our research, Pries Capital. If you're just strictly here because you're trading, you're a day trader, then again, teamdaytrader.com is a reference as far as any kind of resource. That's what I'm thinking of. Sorry, I'm slow. Any kind of resource. Otherwise, that's it, guys. Hope you guys have a great trading day. Again, risk on. That's what the market's showing its hand. I am looking for that fade and then day trading into day trade type 6. So hopefully that's helpful. If you guys got any questions or any kind of constructive criticism on how I can make this stream any better, I'm always looking for any information. You guys would be great. Leave it in the comments. Otherwise, I will see you guys tomorrow morning.